What's one small change you made that had a huge impact on your life? The guys in my school used to say they would F me, but would make sure to put a bag over my head because I was so ugly. I don't think anything could be more humiliating than that. This had completely messed up my self-esteem and I ended up being a loner in school. However, the one incident that truly destroyed me came when a new boy transferred to our school. He was semi-attractive and while I didn't have a crush on him, I did wish that we could be friends if not for my situation. But all my dreams came crashing down one day when he confronted me in the hallway. No one else was there but I could see a group of boys hiding behind a corner. In a whisper, the new boy took out a $20 note and said to me, "I heard you'll do anything for this." I heard snickering and laughing and immediately realized that this was a prank. However, it being a prank didn't mean that it severely hurt my feelings. I still had class but because I was on the verge of crying, I just ran home and shut myself in my room. The entire nightmare completely destroyed any shred of self-esteem I had left and I couldn't even bring myself to get out of bed for the next couple of days, let alone go to school. My parents knew that I was a moody, isolated kid, and just figured that I was going through something and left me alone. I just sat in my room, feeling ashamed and reliving the horrifying day before crying myself to sleep. I didn't start to feel better until my best friend Gabby visited me after I hadn't been to school in 3 days. Gabby and I have been friends since 3rd grade by some miracle. She had friends in every clique and always had this sunny energy to her. Even though I was insanely jealous of her, she had never been anything but loving and supportive to me and never made me feel judged. Just having someone come check on me and ask how I was feeling made me burst out in tears and admit to her that I was tired of being an ugly loser. Gabby said it wasn't true, and all she wanted was for me to feel better about myself. She said that none of the a-holes at school mattered and my self-esteem started and ended with me alone. She called me beautiful with complete honesty in her voice, and said that people would pay thousands for a body like mine. I finally stopped crying and just listened to her. That's when she reminded me that the first thing that people see is my face. She explained how she herself had only started to feel confident after finding the one skincare routine that worked for her after testing out dozens of random luxury skincare brands. I sat up as she reached into her bag and pulled out 2 tiny bottles. The little kit she brought for me was called a micro-infusion system. She said that it was basically an at-home micro-needling kit which she had been using for months now. When she first mentioned needles, I was a little worried, but as I examined her immaculate skin I knew whatever Gabby was using was worth a try. She described how it had cleared away all of her dark spots and blemishes, and that she used it every 2 weeks. Gabby had given me hope for my appearance along with that small gift. She ended up sleeping over and we stayed up all night watching reality TV and eating our favorite snacks. Before we went to sleep, she showed me how to use the kit, and I was surprised at how easy it was. Gabby started by using her own kit on her face first, and the entire time she was stamping her skin she was smiling and speaking to me, so I figured it couldn't be that uncomfortable. She flipped the bottle over, washed her hands well, and gently pressed it to her face, the entire process only taking maybe 5 minutes. When it was my turn, all my nervousness was gone and the routine turned out to be painless and refreshing. As I started using the serum regularly, I watched as my pimples started fading away along with the acne scars I had developed over the years. It was like all of the stress and sadness that had been accumulating on my face for the past years was being blurred away. My entire face had never looked so polished. Even though going back to school and facing those awful bullies was probably the hardest thing I had ever done, Gabby held my hand when I eventually walked back into school. Some boys still tried to bully me, but I was able to ignore them much easier than before. After 6 months of using my new micro-infusion system, my face was completely renewed. I had completely forgotten how my face looked without pimples, let alone without dark spots and huge bags under my eyes. My skin was clear, shiny, and smooth, and even my eyes looked prettier. But maybe it was just all the new self-love I was suddenly feeling. The more my appearance improved, the thicker my skin became against anyone who still had the nerve to bully me. I thought the boys in my grade would eventually leave me alone, but I was surprised to find the total opposite happening. After finally getting the beautiful skin I had prayed for years, all the guys who used to bully me suddenly wanted me. I was getting all these new followers on my dead Insta, and boys who had bullied me in the past were suddenly sliding in my DMs begging for my attention. I thought things couldn't get any more unexpected and strange until Chris, a boy that I had had a crush on since middle school, ended up sitting down next to me while I was studying in the library one day. As soon as he began speaking to me, I noticed he seemed shyer than most of the other guys in my grade. He started our conversation by introducing himself. Ever since my skin had completely cleared up, and my face finally looked just as attractive as my body, it became much easier to ignore anyone trying to get under my now perfect skin. I just rolled my eyes and turned away from him, but that's when he asked me what games I liked. No one had ever asked me that before. I basically had no one else in my life that enjoys video games like me, so I had never had a single conversation about my all-time favorite hobby. Chris and I ended up talking for 3 hours straight that day about all of our favorite games and showing each other our Steam libraries. By the summer he had become my very first boyfriend, and one night he even admitted to me that he had had a secret crush on me for years as well. I laughed him off at first, asking him how he could have ever been attracted to the pimple-faced nobody that I had been for years before then. My micro-infusion system routine had made me unrecognizable compared to my awkward old self from last year, but he took my cheeks in his hands and sincerely asked me, how could I not be attracted to a girl who I never saw without her gaming laptop? Who knows how I got so lucky? I still get overwhelmed with self-love when I look in the mirror and see the way my flawless skin shines back at me. This year has been a roller coaster for me, but the day Gabby came to rescue me while I was rotting away in my room ended up completely redesigning my life for the better. I had never felt so beautiful and fulfilled in my life, and her advice and support could not have come at a better time. Edit. For those asking for the best brand for the skincare system, I personally use the Cure Skincare Micro Infusion System, and it's worked perfectly for me. I've heard there is a lot of knockoffs, so do your research before you get one.